The gear-picking event is happening at the Cube Academy. Trainees have to pick the specific tool they will use for the next 6 months. A giant wall showing every possible choice pops up, and the teacher tells everyone to move fast but stay smart. Students scramble to grab what they want. You see blades, bows, gauntlets, and poles. Everyone is fighting to get their hands on something good. Suddenly, one guy gets the focus of the whole room. People are stunned when he walks up and grabs a handgun. They think he is out of his mind. Even the instructor asks if he is sure about this move. When he says yes, the kids around him start laughing and talking trash. In this world of magic, guns are seen as tools for losers because they have too many limits. They are considered weak since most high-level fighters can block a bullet with their bare hands. But the main guy picked it for a specific reason. He knows exactly how to make that gun incredibly strong. He is actually the person who wrote this story, and now he is trapped inside it. The book he spent his life on started like many others. Portals and beasts showed up everywhere. The world fell into a mess and humans almost went extinct. Korea was the most dangerous spot on the map. But then, heroes with strange powers showed up to kill the monsters and clear the zones. Warrior groups formed, and thanks to them, Korea became the wealthiest place around. To train these legends, a school called the Cube was built. In his book, there was a hero and a rival. However, our guy didn't become either of them. Regarding how he got here, the writer got a weird email one day. It was an offer to reboot his novel. The story about Hajin was something he had barely touched in 6 months because of a major case of writer's block. You know that feeling when you start a project but just can't finish it? That was his life. Hajin thought the email was just fans wanting a fresh version since he had stopped posting. The next morning, he woke up as a student inside the Cube. In the school, the top-ranked freshman has just been announced. This happy guy with blue hair is Suho. The writer's biggest headache is seeing his own work come to life right in front of him. His own imagination has pulled him in to live as a character. Seeing the school and the other students proves this is his world. Still shocked, he wonders how he got dragged into the pages of his own book. Right after arriving, he seems to have gained a special hearing ability. He can hear the whole crowd gossiping about Suho's success, both the fans and the haters. But their talk doesn't matter to him. He's just focused on the fact that he can hear everything so clearly. Suho is the name stuck in his head. Suho is meant to be the star of this world. He is the one who is supposed to fix the broken world and bring back peace. Since he is a classic hero, he is kind and always tries to do the right thing. But what is more interesting is the dark secret Suho hides from everyone. Putting him aside, the writer looks at Suho's rival, the guy meant to push the hero to his limits. The second place student walks up, and it is Jong-Hawk. He is a very cocky guy with a lot of attitude. He is your typical rich kid because his family runs a massive company. The author notes that Jong-Hawk has enough talent to give the hero a hard time, especially since he is supposed to turn into a bad guy later. Now, both main stars of his book are standing right there. The writer is once again positive that he is stuck in the world he built, but this brings up a massive mystery. If those two are the leads, then what part does the writer play in this tale? Does he matter at all? He figures that if he is living in his own book, he should at least have a proper name. These thoughts are cut off when a student calls him Chundong and asks if he stayed up all night. Now, the writer has a million things to ask. He is stunned that he was just called Chundong. A chubby classmate confirms that he is the only Chundong he knows. This name totally crushes our guy's hopes. He was hoping to be someone significant or have a big role like in most Portal stories. But this Chundong guy is so random that he wasn't even in the book. Not even the author recalls creating such a nobody. He thinks maybe things will click if he just looks at his own face to jog his memory. The big question in his head is simply who this Chundong person is supposed to be. The most ridiculous part of this mess is when the writer realizes his face is literally a question mark. He isn't even important enough for the world to give him a real face. Dealing with this weird situation, the author is shaken and tries to pull himself together. He finally understands the truth. Nothing is worse than finding out your face is a blank icon. Think about it. Chundong isn't even a person he meant to put in the story. This body has no special look, no cool name, and basically doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Turned away by his own creation, the writer feels hopeless, seeing that nobody even notices his faceless head. He is like a background bot, a nobody that everyone ignores. Inside the cube, He is the most basic person and will likely never talk to the main cast or change their lives. If you ever felt like you weren't the star of your own life, look at this guy. He is just a background extra. Actually, he is worse than an extra. He is just a placeholder to fill a chair. Feeling beaten, the author slumps, realizing he is a worthless side character. Later on, this faceless guy starts getting used to his weird look after dealing with it for 2 weeks. 14 days have gone by, and nothing is different. He still has the same blurry face he started with. Those 2 weeks prove that this isn't a dream, and he is truly stuck in the book. Every sentence in the story was Hajin's own work, and now he walks among the people he brought to life. The Chundong character is just one of many extras, even though Hajin is now inside him. As you would guess, Hajin tried everything to find info or an answer for how he fell into this mess. But his digging failed because he has no clue how he got here or who did it. On top of that, he is worried about how to stay alive in this place, especially since there is no way back to Earth. Hajin calculates that it will take 10 years to reach the point where he stopped writing. That thought is killing him. The fear of living for a decade in a strange world as a nobody is scary for Hajin. Having no face makes it even worse. Hajin misses his old life and hates being trapped in a book that never even got an ending. Tired out, Hajin looks for ways to reverse what happened to him. The only possible exit he can see is following the main plot. After all, he might get out if the story finishes. The writer thinks that if he can just make it until the story is halfway done, he might be okay. It is not like he has any other way to fix his current problem. So, this NPC with a question mark for a face decides that is his plan. But to make it work, he has to live through high school all over again. Let's look at the cube and see what makes it so great. It is a man-made island filled with the best future heroes. It is like a small city with 50,000 people living there. The place is a perfect example of high-tech progress, showing off the best magic and industry humans have. The cube is the main reason Korea is a global power in this story. Standing at the training hub, Hajin thinks about how this is the heart of his book where everything happens. It is a cool blue building where heroes practice special moves. In Hajin's world, powers are called gifts, and every hero has one. Only the top elites get the chance to train here as cadets. This applies to Chundong too, the guy whose body Hajin is using. This boy is a student here, so he must have some kind of skill. The issue is that Hajin has no clue what this guy can actually do. It is like starting a game from zero without knowing your own stats. The writer hopes Chundong has some link to the center so he can find tools to help him stay alive among these scary students. Hajin walks into Class Veritas, the very center of the academy. Everyone is there. The heroes, the jerks, the cute ones, and the losers. You can see Jong-Hawk and even the star of the book, Suho. Soon, these people will start their own journeys and trigger major events. Hajin sits down and feels sick thinking he has to survive 10 years with this group. To make it worse, he still doesn't even have a face to show them. It is the worst possible situation for him. After school, the students head to their rooms. Hajin goes back too, feeling drained. He can't even remember how he managed to pay attention in school the first time around. Suddenly, a package catches his eye. This is weird because he never wrote about a mail system in his story. As he opens it, he wonders if these are just Chundong's old things. To his total shock, it is Hajin's own laptop, which makes no sense at all. A device like this shouldn't be here. The laptop turns on and a screen starts syncing with him. Hajin drops it in a scare as the system says it is linking with Chundong. It downloads all the data and shows him his stats like power, brain levels, and luck. They are the exact numbers Hajin wrote himself. Before he can process this, his body starts changing. The screen goes dark and then tells Hajin he has gained the power to change settings. The faceless Chundong body turns back into Hajin's real body, and his stats reset. His life changes once more. Now, when he looks in the mirror, he sees a real face instead of that insulting question mark. But things get even more confusing now. Dozens of screens start popping up everywhere. The system confirms the link is done. He wonders if this is related to something called enlightenment. In this world, that is what happens when someone breaks past their limits. Hajin knows this well because he created the concept. After this happens, a person's gifts and skills turn into digital data so they can check them easily. The best part is how much his body can grow now. Hajin is going to get much more powerful thanks to that bit of enlightenment. Simply put, He can now view his status screen, which lists various points and details his powers. One of his abilities is observation, which is fairly standard, and the same goes for his second one, reading. His basic stats are also visible, though they aren't very impressive and look quite weak. Hajin starts checking every screen carefully. The most fascinating part is the sync tab that switched him from Chundong back to his real self, causing a total reset. What he sees on the display is shocking. While he doesn't fully get how the shift happened, he is sure the sync is why his face and look changed. Also, his own stats are much lower than Chundong's were, which makes sense since Chundong was a real cadet. To make up for being weak, he gets special points instead. Moving on, Hajin focuses on the unique authority window. It looks like he can make brand new items by spending SP. Doing this uses up his bar, but it opens up a ton of new options. These story points are earned as the plot moves forward and he becomes more important. What's weird is that Hajin doesn't recall writing anything about these points in his book. The author quickly realizes he needs to become a bigger deal in the story to change things and earn more SP. He is starting to figure out his goal here. He has his laptop and these screens because he is meant to go through a rough time fighting monsters and changing the main plot. It's not what he wanted, so Hajin is ready to trash talk his own work. But as he vents, a new screen pops up and catches him off guard. It seems to hold some secret data. Stuck in this spot, Hajin is annoyed that he has to mess with this world just to have a tiny hope of going home. He stands up and begins typing on his laptop. Since he has no other choice, he thinks it's better to move now instead of waiting years for the story to hit the point where he stopped writing. There is no promise he will even get back to his world then anyway. He thinks that even if the secret info doesn't help him get home, it might give him a hint on how to handle this world or make it easier to deal with the main cast. To win, Hajin's only path is to fight and get tough. He starts putting his points into things that will help him survive whatever comes next. When it comes to getting stronger, Hajin notes that his book doesn't let people grow their stats easily. The usual leveling up you see in other stories doesn't exist here. The only way is using points, which makes them super precious. He believes the smartest move is to put everything into luck. It is the only stat with no ceiling that always works. It helps with cash, luck, and even making friends. It's the perfect stat for everyday life, basically a cheat code. Usually, you can't use regular points to raise luck, so Hajin wonders if he can cheat the system by using his SP. To test his idea, he tries trading 10 points, which turns into 10,000 SP. He then drops 9,000 SP into his luck, giving it a boost of 9. The strange luck power kicks in, bumping the stat up even more. This means his luck actually boosts itself, making it a great choice to invest in. Hajin then checks out the star's stats. Suho has a magic power of 9, which is his maximum. By bumping his luck to 9.1, Hajin has already broken past that limit. He spends the rest of his points on grit to help him handle the brutal training at the school. Because he boosted his luck first, it actually makes his grit even stronger when he adds points to it. He is already happy with the results since his plan is working perfectly. Suddenly, the system lags and flashes a warning. Messing with the odds caused an error. Since Hajin was basically using a cheat code, the system adds a rule to close the loophole. He can't change his hidden stats with story points anymore. The author is a bit annoyed by the nerf, but he knows he'd be too broken without it. Even though he hit a wall with his tricks, his luck and grit are high enough to get him through most trouble. He remembers he got 10,000 story points for being a beginner. He wants to be smart about how he uses them, so he saves the rest for later. The next day, he heads to class. Their teacher introduces himself as Suyuk. He is a famous world-class hero with a high rank in the association. After introducing himself, he gets straight to the point. He tells them the cube isn't a playground. Grades are everything, and if you can't keep them up, you get tossed out. It's a tough road, as only half the students will even make it to the end. The school only wants the best of the best. The teacher tells everyone to follow him to pick their main weapons. Inside the armory, the students are amazed by the rows of deadly gear. Their teacher snaps them out of it, reminding them this isn't for fun and to pick quickly. He warns them that once they choose, they are stuck with that weapon for 6 months. If they pick the wrong thing, they'll be miserable for half a year. Suho, the main hero, finds a sword that feels just right. One girl grabs a bow, while a blonde girl goes for a rapier for fast stabs. Others grab whips and various gear. Hajin watches the main cast pick their weapons without much stress. He knows he has to be way more careful. His stats are so low that he can't compete with the others using swords or spears, and shields aren't for him either. To make it easier, he sets some rules. The weapon has to be something from his old world that he can learn to use easily. Based on that, he makes his choice. His pick shocks the other students and the teacher. The instructor is confused and asks Hajin if he is seriously picking a pistol. It's pretty funny. He basically decided to do things the American way and bring a gun to a sword fight. Hajin gets a weird look from his teacher, who is confused because the cadet's records say he was a swordsman back at his old school. Making up a quick excuse, Hajin just says he changed his mind. The instructor can't understand why anyone would swap their main skill right as they start at the academy, but he accepts it. He tells Hajin that in the cube, students choose their own path, but they have to live with the results of those choices. Suddenly, Hajin's sharp hearing picks up the other students talking trash. They can't believe anyone would bring a pistol to a school for elite heroes. Some think he's just desperate for attention and plan to mess with him during practice. Even with everyone mocking him, the author knows that firearms are actually pretty solid. They are perfect for regular people without magic, especially since this world uses special ammo. These magic bullets are packed with mana, making them much more dangerous than normal ones. However, that is where the perks end. People hate guns here because they don't get stronger over time. A guy named Horak proves this by easily punching a bullet out of the air. The writer explains that a gun's damage is always the same no matter who pulls the trigger. The other big issue is their history. In this world, myths and legends are real, and weapons based on old stories are much more powerful. The older the legend, the better the weapon. Because of this, no one wants modern gear since it has no history or soul. Everyone prefers medieval weapons because they can grow along with the user. But for Hajin, none of that matters. He isn't the star of the show. He has no idea how to swing a sword and knows he would look like a total amateur compared to the others. He picked the gun because he actually knows how to use it, and it will help him get noticed. Being the only guy with a gun makes him stand out, which means he earns more story points. With his gear sorted, he starts thinking about talents. In this world, a talent is a special superpower, and most people only get one. Of course, there are exceptions. Suho hasn't even found his true talent yet, but he already fights like a master. The scene moves to Suho, who is heading off to train with Nayun. His typical hero personality ends up annoying her, and she wonders how a guy like him even got the top spot. Suho mentions there is another high-ranking student in their class, and though Nayun is confused at first, she realizes he means Hajin. Just hearing that name makes her look totally disgusted. Nayun thinks this student is a total joke despite his high rank. She can't wrap her head around how anyone takes him seriously when he's carrying a tiny pistol with zero range. She assumes he has simply given up on being a hero and settled for a garbage weapon. Nayun wonders if his plan is just to quit halfway through the year. But hearing this, Suho tells her she's being too harsh. Nayun has no clue what he's talking about and looks at him confused. She snaps at him for wasting her time with talk instead of practicing. While they are gossiping about him, Hajin is busy napping and wondering if he gets story points when people talk behind his back. It's a solid question, honestly. Anyway, Hajin knows that Suho is destined to be the greatest hero ever using his one special power, which means powers are just as vital for Hajin. He doesn't want to miss his chance to buy his first gift. Using his system, Hajin writes himself a Deadshot power. It's an ability that lets him use long-range gear with perfect aim. Because he created this power himself, 10,000 story points are taken from his balance. The system is so high-tech that it handles the rest on its own, giving him extra perks like slow-motion vision. This skill works for his gun and any other ranged weapon, meaning he could even use a bow if he wanted. To make it even better, it's a skill that grows over time. Even if it seems basic now, he can train it to become elite. It's a great long-term move. Hajin decides to roll with what he's got. With his setup finished, he feels prepared for the future. With this one power, he just has to bet everything on it and stay alive until the book ends. The scene moves to the classroom. A teacher is explaining how to handle towers and dungeons. The funniest part for Hajin is seeing the exact lore he wrote appearing in the school textbooks. Imagine taking a test on a subject you invented. Hajin has an easy time enjoying the talk since he already knows everything. He starts using his watch and read powers to help out. Watch lets him see everything in his sight clearly. He can look through objects and even check his laptop without trying. The teacher tells them to study because a written test is coming up. Naeun gets annoyed since she's bored out of her mind and hates sitting in class. Suddenly, someone interrupts the room and tells the students to head to the plaza. Naeun is hyped because she finally gets to leave the boring lecture. It's time for hands-on training, which is the one thing Hajin is dreading. At the arena, the teacher explains the plan. They will form teams of 4, 2 fighters, 1 sniper, and 1 backup warrior. These teams will stay together until the midterm exams. The groups are balanced with both top and bottom students to keep things fair. The instructor tells them to go find their partners. Hajin looks at the board and is shocked to see he isn't with Suho or Naeun. Even worse, he is stuck with the one person he wanted to avoid. That person is Yanawa, which leaves him stunned. Things are playing out just like the book. Many characters were made specifically to interact with the lead hero and move the plot along. But among them, Yanawa is unique. She has beautiful purple hair and is the top pick for Korea's best guild, Essence of the Strait. On top of that, she is the heir to the Yu family, so she comes from a very powerful background. In the first draft of the book, Suho was meant to clash with Yanawa at first, but they eventually become close friends and she supports the squad. Because of this, it is vital for Hajin to get on her good side. Hanging out with her is a shortcut to earning more story points and becoming a key player in the plot. With a serious face, Hajin gets ready to do whatever he can to get Yanawa to notice him. Her other team members walk up to say hello. Along with her and Hajin, there is Ho-Zung and Hazuki, forming the plan group of 4. Since Yanawa is a very logical person, she hesitates to speak at first but finally agrees since they are on her team. It's pretty funny how she puts on a very polite and fake attitude once she starts talking to them. Both guys find it a bit weird, but then she looks at the last member. Hajin steps up to introduce himself. He is a bit nervous, but he knows Yanawa won't respect him if he acts like a coward. Ho-Zung interrupts him right away, making fun of him for being the cool guy who picked a gun. The guy keeps talking trash, not realizing the teacher is about to lose it for all the chatter. Ho-Zung gets a huge scare when the instructor screams at them to start the monster hunt. The mission details are sent to everyone's smartwatches. The team heads out toward a large field. Yanawa checks her watch and sees they are near the target. She tells everyone to stay sharp and get ready. They will learn more about the beast once they reach the spot. While the others are sprinting easily, our guy is struggling. He needs some serious motivation because he has never run this much. Even though his stamina isn't actually bad, he can barely stay behind his team. To make it worse, these guys aren't even the top stars. They are just the basic level for a cube student. Yanawa and the others stop at a place called the 8th Coast. In front of them is a ship where the monster is hiding. Suddenly, a black hump octopus appears and starts crushing the boat with its huge limbs. Before they rush in, Yanawa thinks they need a solid plan. The monster is a low-level beast and isn't very physically strong. The real issue is the bumps on its head. It turns out this octopus can sense danger and shoots out swarms of tiny babies to attack. These little monsters are terrifying and can drain a person dry in seconds. Ho-Zung suggests they go after the babies as soon as the fight starts. Hazuki thinks they need a sniper to pick off the small ones with a gun, so she points to Hajin. However, Yanawa shuts that down fast, saying she will handle the babies herself. She wants the others to save their energy while she works. She thinks they need to kill the main monster in one big shot because it heals very fast. Yanawa's refusal to let Hajin help feels weird to him. He quickly realizes she is just looking down on him and doesn't think he's worth anything in a fight. Yanawa asks if everyone is ready to go. She starts the mission, leaving our guy annoyed by her cocky attitude. The giant octopus then completely finishes off the boat. While Ho-Zung uses his axe to get the beast's focus, his loud shouting is enough to lure the octopus toward the beach. Furious, the monster charges at Ho-Zung and lets loose. The poor guy is terrified by its massive size and runs for his life. Hazuki is ready, while our guy Hajin is also shaking a bit as he holds his small Glock. The only fighter with real guts here is Yanawa, a whip user who is prepared to take the beast down. Just as they planned, the octopus senses a threat and shoots a swarm of babies from its head. This makes Ho-Zung panic because he sees he is the target. Those killer babies are heading straight for him. Before they can turn him into a snack, Yanawa steps up like a queen and cuts them down with her whip. She looks amazing standing before the monster, impressing her team with her strength. On top of that, her skills alone make her the 7th strongest new student in the cube. She gives Hozung a chance to escape while she holds the line by herself. Yanawa uses her whip to lash out, making the octopus go wild and swing its limbs at her. She quickly jumps to avoid the hit, but while she is in midair, a baby octopus sneaks up to attack her from behind. Hazuki screams a warning. Before Yanawa can move, the creature is blasted by a shot from far away, leaving her stunned. Only one thing makes sense. Hajin's gun just saved her life. Being rescued by him annoys Yanawa, but she finally remembers his name. Let's take a quick break to talk about SP. As mentioned before, these points can be traded for stats. They go up when Hajin becomes more important to the main cast and the plot. Since he started as a nobody, standing out is hard because the main stars usually hog the spotlight. So his only other choice is to jump in and help the lead characters. That is exactly what he did by saving Yanawa. His shot shocks everyone on the team. A distracted Yanawa tells him to stay in his lane since she didn't want him helping at all. But while she is talking, the giant octopus spits out even more tiny clones for them to fight. Yanawa gets ready, but some of them go after Hajin. It isn't a hard fight for the author, who can read their moves easily. Hajin shuts his eyes, putting all his focus into this moment. He turns on bullet time, one of the perks the system made for him. This slows down time for 3 seconds, letting Hajin turn into John Wick and blast those ugly monsters. After locking his aim on every target, he lets the lead fly. Once the 3 seconds end, the bullets zip through the air and turn the octopuses into mush, even the ones near Yanawa. Now Yanawa sees her chance. She uses her whip to trap the monster's head and orders the team to hit it. Hozung and Hazuki jump in, using a magic strike to kill the beast in one go. The monster is finally finished, with its brains hitting the sand. A tired Hajin collapses like a classic anime character. Afterward, their scores are totaled, showing a finish time of just under an hour. It isn't the fastest, but it puts them in 16th place out of 100 teams. With that, the first round is over. Yanawa is surprised by the result. The whole fight was caught on a drone for the teachers to review. They can use the recording to see their errors and get better. While 16th is decent, Yanawa thinks it's a total failure. She wanted a much higher spot and is jealous that Nayun easily grabbed 4th place in both solo and team rankings. Yanawa wanted to prove her family was superior, so being so far behind Nayun is a huge blow. Then there is Jong-Hawk, that cocky guy who clearly has a crush on Nayun and keeps watching her from a distance. Now fuming, Yanawa walks over to Nayun. In a funny twist, she hides her rage and acts like a sweet, fake friend. She tries to dig for info on how Nayun's team did so well. Nayun is actually annoyed they only got 4th because she really wanted to beat Jong-Hawk. Yanawa admits she got 16th while keeping a calm face, but inside, she is losing her mind with anger. Nayun is actually impressed she even got 16th with a loser like Hajin on her squad. She assumes he was the anchor dragging them down. But Yanawa knows better. The only reason she was mad was because it took them 50 minutes just to reach the site due to his poor running. If he had been faster, they would have finished in 10 minutes. Aside from that, his combat skills were actually amazing to her. She vividly recalls how he picked off every single baby monster with his pistol before they could get close. Yanawa wonders if that is even possible with basic magic bullets, since Hajin made it look so easy and powerful. Suddenly, she goes from ignoring him to being very curious about who he really is. As for Hajin, he just finished a workout. He is probably pushing himself to fix his stamina after that embarrassing run. The author notes he forgot to check his notifications during training and wonders how much he earned. Since his luck is maxed out, his aim during the fight was perfect, and his gift has grown. Now, every single shot he fires is a guaranteed bullseye. His sight and hearing are sharper, and his story points went up by 27. Looking back at the fight, he figures luck helped him earn those points too. His plan to get close to Yanawa is working perfectly so far. His physical body is also getting stronger from the gym. His power and health have improved, and his luck stat makes those gains even better. Feeling good about his progress, he decides to call it a day and head back. Over in her room, Yanawa is re-watching the fight footage. She is focused on Hajin's insane shooting, as he fired 60 shots in just 3 seconds with one pistol. She tries to imagine firing 20 times a second and realizes it's basically impossible for a normal person, making her wonder if he had a special weapon. She also notices his stats. His speed is okay, but his overall health is lower than most students. Plus, he swapped weapons for no reason at the start. Yanawa's instincts tell her something is fishy. She doesn't even remember him from their middle school days. While she is thinking, she gets a text from Jong-Hawk, who she actually likes. She tells him she is busy looking at the video. She wants to see if she found a hidden gem for her future guild, as she plans to lead the best team in Korea one day. Jong-Hawk is surprised and doesn't think anyone on her team is special. He mostly wants to know about the mysterious gunman, since that is the only person Yanawa seems to care about right now. With a grin, Yanawa is thrilled that her crush is finally showing some interest in her. She downplays the situation, mentioning that the guy is doing all right for someone ranked in the 900s. Jong-Hawk is caught off guard and wonders if the guy just got lucky. Yanawa thinks about that and starts to question if Hajin's performance really was a fluke or if luck truly played a part. The scene shifts to a new location, the headquarters of the Holy Grace of God Guild. Inside, the vice captain is totally obsessed with Suho's amazing performance. Sunga has been watching his footage on repeat, captivated by his skills. She points out how Suho moves with perfect precision and displays sword skills unlike anything she has ever seen. He is so good that it looks like he is performing a graceful dance, yet his strikes are so powerful they seem to slice through space itself. All three of the biggest guilds in the country are watching this young star, desperate to sign him. Sunga is leading the charge, wanting to recruit him immediately while he is still unattached. To everyone's surprise, her next target is Hajin. She finds it shocking that he chose a handgun as his main tool. Her assistant confirms the news, noting that the boy has become a hot topic in the guild world. Since many people watched the video to see Yanawa, they ended up seeing Hajin too. The big debate online is how he managed to fire 60 shots from a regular pistol in just 3 seconds. It defies logic. Even with high speed, the gun should have broken from the intense recoil. Because his skills are so mysterious, people are starting to call him an unorthodox fighter. The vice captain also learns that he ditched the sword for a gun the moment he got into the academy. Sunga realizes he must have experienced enlightenment, the moment a warrior awakens their true talent. Since you never know what power you'll get, some students switch weapons to match their new gift. However, doing this usually ruins a career, setting a student back about 3 years. That's why the military schools try to make kids learn many weapons early on. Sunga is impressed he reached enlightenment at only 17, but she worries his potential is low if he's stuck using only guns. She decides to hold off on recruiting him for now, wanting to see if this unorthodox kid can actually live up to the hype. It is now Wednesday, and the students are in the middle of combat practice. Suho is facing off against another cadet in a fair fight. This part of the program is called anti-personnel training, where they use dull practice weapons to avoid real injuries. Poor Hajin, however, is having a nightmare. Despite his luck, he's having the worst day ever. He is the only one who has to spar with the instructor instead of a classmate, and he has already lost 18 times in a row. The problem is that practice guns aren't ready yet, and using a real one against a student would be too dangerous. So, the teacher is taking it out on him personally. Hajin tries to give up, but his begging is ignored as the teacher swings a massive punch at his face. At the last second, Hajin ducks, and the strike smashes the ground instead. The teacher is genuinely shocked that the kid actually moved fast enough to dodge. Hajin manages to duck 2 more swings, making the teacher realize that even though this kid looks like a scrub with terrible form, his eyes are elite at tracking movements. It's clairvoyance, another perk from his deadshot power. This sharpens his vision and lets him predict where a hit is going, helping him barely slip past every strike. He can see the punches coming, but the hard part is making his clumsy body move fast enough to dodge. The other students watching think he looks lazy and awkward. They might be laughing at him for being a loser, but he still racks up 40 story points from the attention. He got what he wanted, even if he hates being the butt of the joke. After the brutal session, Hajin tries to relax with a drink. He spots Yanawa walking by, and she gives him a look of pure disgust like he's a bug beneath her shoe. It's ironic since he's the one who wrote her personality that way. Feeling like testing something out, he calls her name and tosses her a soda. She catches it with fast reflexes but looks confused, asking if he's trying to pick a fight. His social skills are so bad she thinks a gift is an attack. Hajin explains he's just saying thanks for carrying the team during the monster hunt. To him, this is an experiment to see how many points he gets for a direct chat with a lead character compared to the 40 he gets from nobodies. Yanawa throws the drink back and warns him never to speak to her so casually again. As she walks off, Hajin just smiles because he already won. Later, as she's leaving, she notices her bag feels a bit heavy. She opens it and finds another can inside. Our sneaky author planted a second one while she wasn't looking, which just makes her more annoyed. She wants to crush the can but stops, realizing the soda itself is innocent. The truth is, Yanawa secretly loves junk food like burgers and cola, but she never buys it because it would ruin her family's high-class image. Hajin is the only one who knows this secret and exploited it. He didn't gain many points from the small talk, which proves he needs to jump into the big plot events to get a real boost. He knows exactly what's coming: the demonic human attack at the National Weapons Museum. Demonic humans are villains who traded their souls to demons for power. In the original story, a hidden traitor at the museum tries to take out a specific target. Suho and the others are supposed to beat him, which is how Suho first earns everyone's respect. Since this is early in the book, the villain isn't too tough, and it's mostly a stage for Suho and Nayun to shine. Hajin starts planning his move to get involved. While he's thinking, a teacher yells at him for loitering outside the dorms, so he grabs his laptop and leaves. Just then, he gets a mysterious system alert that hasn't been shown yet. In this school, there are clubs for everything, from studying and fighting to art and music. There are hundreds of these groups where cadets can do their own thing. The best part about these clubs is that they don't just offer space for training, they also help cadets network and get to know each other. Finally, the day came for Hajin to pick a group. At the academy gate, he joins the travel club and is welcomed by the president, Hyun. Hyun is hyped to have so many new freshmen. In fact, when he first saw the sign-up list, he couldn't believe his luck. He feels blessed to have such great cadets on board. Hyun welcomes them again and explains the club's goal. It's simply to rest. They get to use a portal twice a month to leave the academy grounds. For their first trip, Hyun announces they are visiting Seoul. The author realizes that a trip to the capital is easy to handle since they just need to form pairs. So far, the plot is matching the book perfectly. Hajin focuses on his goal for the day, participating in the first big story arc at the Weapon Museum. Once he's there with the main cast, he plans to pull some strings from the sidelines. The president tells everyone to draw straws for partners, which surprises Hajin because he didn't write the group setup this way. Still, he doesn't really care since he plans to ditch his partner and move solo anyway. Of course, Luck has other plans, and he ends up paired with Yanawa. Being her usual self, she coldly tells him they should just do their own thing. Hajin is fine with that and lets her go. Before she leaves, Yanawa shoots him a deadly look, the kind that says, "I'll end you if you talk to me like a friend again." Since this was his second time doing it, she gives him a final warning. Hajin just accepts his luck and moves on. The scene moves to the National Weapons Museum, the main stage for this first arc. It's the biggest display of weapon copies in the country. It's a cool place, but Hajin just walks through the crowd feeling bored. He sees Nayun to his left, looking obsessed with a specific weapon. Since she's there, Hajin knows the lead hero must be close. Sure enough, Suho is just ahead, looking at a weapon by himself. Hajin tries to start a chat, asking if he's checking out the 7-branch sword. He introduces himself, and Suho recognizes him as the sniper from the travel club. Hajin thinks about Suho's character. He was made to be brave, good-looking, and kind. His old readers used to send him hate mail for making such a perfect and cheesy hero. I guess some people just love to hate. Suddenly, Suho mentions there's a gun display nearby and asks Hajin to check it out with him. Hajin agrees, but he knows they won't make it there because of what's about to go down. Out of nowhere, the museum lights turn red and an alarm screams that monsters are right outside. The crowd flips from excited to terrified instantly. People start panicking and rushing for the doors, pushing kids aside and acting like crazy. In the middle of the mess, one person smashes the display glass with a fist, stopping everyone in their tracks. Even Suho is stunned to see it's Nayun. She shouts for everyone to chill out, saying the museum's hero will show up soon to fight. Taking charge, she grabs the bow from the exhibit and warns the crowd that if they run outside now, they'll just be easy targets for the monsters. But her risky move triggers the security locks, trapping everyone inside the building. She yells at the crowd to arm themselves so they can stay safe until professional heroes arrive to deal with the danger. Suddenly, Nayun feels a dark presence nearby and gets ready. A man appears, glowing with a wicked red energy. His scary face and violent vibe prove he is a demonic human and the mastermind behind this attack. Hajin remembers this guy is known as the Dog of Lucius, a villain meant to help Suho grow as a hero. The demon bares his claws, ready to rip Nayun apart. While the monster is distracted, Suho takes the chance to leap from behind with his 7-branch blade. He is about to cut the demon down, and so far, the script is perfect. Suho is destined to win this fight easily. However, something shocking happens. Suho is swatted away by a massive counterattack. His body takes a brutal hit and slams into the floor right in front of Hajin. The author is frozen and can't find his words. This is completely wrong. Suho is lying there just a few steps away, and Hajin can't wrap his head around it. The story he wrote shouldn't be playing out this way. Suho was the winner. Even if he struggled at first, he had the strength to crush this enemy. But he didn't. Seeing Suho go down so fast makes Nayun scream in terror. Suho is coughing up blood and can barely stand. Hajin can see he is in serious trouble and won't recover in time to turn the tide. The demonic human walks towards Suho with a dark aura, ready to end him. Nayun panics and tries to help by firing arrows directly at his face. But this guy is such a tank that he just shrugs them off like they are nothing. A confused Nayun keeps shooting, but he seems totally immune to her attacks. Realizing her weapons aren't doing a thing, Nayun begins to lose hope. Her confidence shatters because she can't understand what is happening. What's worse is that the monster isn't even using magic or a special shield to block her. He is just taking the hits with his bare skin. His physical strength is just that insane. Hajin realizes Nayun is in danger as the enemy turns toward her. The demon swings his claws at her face, and it looks like it's over, until Suho jumps back in with a kick. Luckily, he managed to get up while Nayun was buying time. But before they can even regroup, Suho is sent flying again, barely blocking a wave of dark energy with his sword. Then, the demonic human enters a transformed state, covering himself in a shadowy mist. His power becomes so huge that he takes Suho down once more. Nayun starts shooting from behind to try and save Suho's life. Turning back to her, the monster strikes with a giant claw, slamming her into a wall. Everything Hajin is seeing is a total disaster. He is terrified that both of them might actually die here. Now that he has seen his story go off the rails twice, he can't figure out why things are changing so much. He quickly flips open his laptop to try and save the situation. Hajin looks at his bullets with shaky hands, knowing his basic mana rounds won't even scratch this guy. Even a perfect hit wouldn't be enough. Still, since he built this world, he trusts that the core rules are still the same. Knowing that, he starts typing fast, changing the settings of his mana bullets to fit what he needs right now. He boosts the offensive power to 6 points, spending 100 story points to lock in the change. Loading the magazine back into his pistol, Hajin gets ready for the fight, thinking about how heroes need many different skills to survive a mess like this. Just having the right elemental match can change everything. While Suho and the monster are stuck in a struggle, Hajin sees his opening. Since the demonic human is powered by darkness, Hajin uses the only element that can kill it. He yells at Suho to get out of the way and prepares a light-based attack. Hajin creates a white light bullet. He fires a single shot that hits the monster's body, exploding in a bright blue beam. That one bullet completely shreds the demon's arm, causing it massive pain and forcing it to drop Nayun as the dark mist vanishes. Nayun hits the floor, and Hajin thinks his job is done now that the enemy is badly hurt. This gives Suho the window he needs to end things. Hajin's body is shaking from the strain of his power, so he puts the rest of his faith in Suho, trusting the hero to deliver the final blow. Suho charges his sword, his body glowing with a blue aura. He taps into the Sword Saint magic, which is strong enough to cut through anything. With one final slash, Suho wipes out the demonic human for good. The monster's body hits the ground, defeated but a tired Suho can barely stand, and Nayun is in the same shape. He tries to check on her, but she angrily pushes him away. Hajin tells Suho to just leave her alone for a bit, mentioning that her brother will be there soon to help her. He knows this happens in the book, but he forgets that he isn't supposed to know such personal details. Both Suho and Nayun give him a shocked look. After all, a random extra shouldn't know anything about their family. Nayun tries to question him, but she's too weak to keep talking. Meanwhile, the monsters outside are being cut down by the vice captain and her twin blades. Luckily, the outdoor threat is handled and the beasts are dead. She asks about what happened inside and finds out a demonic human was killed by Cube students. Wanting to know who they are, she asks for their names. She is stunned to hear that Nayun, Suho, and Hajin were the ones involved. She rushes into the museum, desperate to meet Suho. On his way out, Hajin bumps right into her. Curious, she tries to ask where Suho is. Hajin stays one step ahead and tells her the hero is just inside. She goes in but immediately feels a chill. She realizes this random cadet knew exactly who she was looking for. This is another mistake by our clumsy author. Later, taking a break at a park, Hajin thinks about how he didn't expect to run into Suna like that. He wonders if the plot is starting to shift. He tries to look at the facts. He is just a minor extra and shouldn't be important enough to change the world. The story seemed to be going fine, so he didn't think he was the cause of the changes. But then, it finally hits him. He forgot one huge detail. This book has a co-author. I bet you didn't see that twist coming. Hajin realizes this version of the world is a remake based on the email he got from a fan. That explains why things are happening outside of his own script. If that is true, all his inside knowledge about the future might be totally useless now. This realization petrifies Hajin because it means his future knowledge is gone. He quickly checks his laptop and finds a critique message. It says the original story was too easy, with the hero winning every fight without a scratch, which would make readers bored. To fix this, the co-author has buffed every single boss, making them much more dangerous and turning the plot into total chaos. After the museum mess, the instructor calls Hajin and Suho in for a report. He keeps things brief for now, putting their health first. A worried Suho asks about Nayun and learns she took medical leave to be with her family. The teacher tells them both to head back to the dorms and get some rest. As he leaves, Suho stops Hajin, calling out his name. The blue-haired hero wants to know the truth. How did Hajin know about Nayun's brother? For a second, Hajin is stumped. Then he remembers the email from the co-author. Instead of explaining, he just asks Suho why it even matters. Suho isn't stupid and gets annoyed that Hajin is playing dumb. So he decides to drop it for now. Let's look closer at Nayun's background. The author knows she was fourth in her class and comes from the powerful Chai family. She is the daughter of Jong-Hawk and the sister of Jin-Yun, both big names that Hajin is currently researching. He still doesn't get why she reacted so poorly to her brother's name until he finds a news report. It says Jin-Yun is in a coma after a brutal monster raid. In the original book, that mission, the Fiend Suppression, was supposed to be Jin-Yun's big win, making him a famous ally to the hero. For little Nayun, her brother was her idol. But the story has shifted in a dark way. Jin-Yun was crushed instead, leaving Nayun traumatized. Just then, a system alert pops up. It tells Hajin that any future plot changes will be revealed the moment he notices them. The system confirms that Jin-Yun, who was supposed to be Suho's biggest supporter, has been completely rewritten. We see a flashback of the hero barely clinging to life after a heavy hit. The co-author decided the protagonist had too much help, so they started removing his allies. Poor Jin-Yun was the first victim. 4 years ago, right after becoming a hero, Jin-Yun was turned into a demon seed. This is a nightmare twist that Hajin never could have imagined. The scene cuts to Nayun's home. The radio is reporting on the museum attack, listing 7 dead and 50 hurt. A broken Nayun can't stand to listen and shuts it off. She hides in her bed alone while her father calls out her name, worried sick. Nayun spots him and wonders why he is away from his post. Jong-Hawk doesn't care about his duties right now. He only wants to know if she is okay. Since they are at the hospital, he insists on a full checkup, but Nayun puts on a brave face and says she is perfectly fine. She is doing her best to keep him from worrying and even feels he went overboard by coming to see her. Of course, he is still a concerned dad who sees right through her act. Nayan asks him for one favor. She wants to see Jin-Yun before she leaves. Seeing how fragile she looks, her father agrees that let's go back to Jin-Yun's situation and explain what demon seeds actually are. Demons are the most terrifying beings in this world, stronger than any human or monster. They have a horrific ability to plant seeds inside people. These seeds act like parasites, feeding on the person while they grow. Eventually, the seed takes over completely, turning the human into a full demon. This means Jin-Yun's state is even worse than it looks. He is literally a ticking time bomb. Usually, this process takes 5 years. Since he was infected 4 years ago, he is almost at the end of his rope. As Nayan heads to his room, Hajin realizes there is only one dark solution. Once someone is infected, the only way to stop the demon from appearing is to kill the person before they transform. That is the grim reality Hajin is facing. He knows it seems impossible for anyone to actually do it. No mercenary would touch a target like Jin-Yun, especially with Shin-Huk's power protecting the family heir. Plus, the seed grows without changing the person's outward appearance, so no one can see the danger until it's too late. If the demon actually wakes up, it will be way too strong for Suho to handle, and many heroes will die trying to stop it to prevent this bloody future. Hajin knows he has to stop the transformation. As he thinks about Nayan sitting by her brother, he feels a wave of cold dread. He realizes the heavy burden is on his shoulders. He has to be the one to take a life to save the world. Meanwhile, Nayan talks to her unconscious brother about her brush with death at the museum. She admits that the monster was too strong for a normal student. As much as it bugs her, she remembers it was Hajin who stepped in and saved them. She decides to stop thinking about him and realizes her visiting time is up. As she walks away, Nayan stops, feeling a dark shiver. She tried to push it out of her mind, but she can't forget Hajin's cold words. She remembers the way he looked at her and feels a spark of anger, thinking he was just bullying her during her weakest moment. At the same time, over at the Tower of Heroes, Sunga is risking everything. She is digging through secret files about the museum attack, even though it's illegal and could ruin her career. She is determined to find the truth behind what happened. Sunga finds something huge in the files. The demon they killed at the museum was covered in light magic. This is massive news because heroes who can use light are the ultimate counter to fiends and dark energy monsters. The vice captain is hyped. She needs to find and recruit this talent immediately. She looks at the records and sees only 3 cadets were there. Suho and Nayan are already being watched, so that leaves the third guy. To her total shock, it's Hajin, the same kid who predicted her arrival at the museum. Meanwhile, our boy is typing away on his laptop, just like a real author. He just found out something awesome. His laptop is invisible to everyone else. He can check the plot right in front of people without them knowing. He even added a new radar feature. If anything within 30 meters changes from his original book, his laptop screams an alert. This is his way of staying one step ahead of that sneaky co-author. But while he's proud of his new tech, he doesn't notice a very angry Nayan sneaking up behind him. She is fuming and demands a duel right then and there. Hajin just looks at her and says, "No thanks," which makes her even madder. She calls him a coward and yells at him for bringing up her brother. The other students start gathering, smelling a fight. Hajin calmly explains that his real bullets are too dangerous for a school spar and he doesn't want to hurt her. Nayan thinks he's just looking down on her, and she's ready to explode. Luckily, the teacher steps in and shuts her down. He reminds her that since Hajin doesn't have a practice gun yet, he isn't allowed to fight other students. Nayan stomps off, and Hajin realizes he really messed up any chance of an apology. But honestly, he has bigger problems. He's been training until his hands are bruised because he has a dark mission. He has to kill Nayan's brother before the demon seed wakes up. Getting close to her now would just make the future betrayal even more painful. The scene jumps to another club meeting. This time it's the Variety Study Club, led by a guy named Yun-Hyun. He tells the group that their mission is monster analysis and tactical research. They aren't there to relax. They are there to study the best ways to take down beasts. While the president gives his speech, most students are totally charmed by his vibe. This guy has a special way of grabbing everyone's attention. But it's all a fake show, and I'm the only one who knows it. In my head, I'm thinking about how Hyun is actually using demon powers. Looking back at the first half of my book, the cube is where everything goes down, students go missing, and monsters invade. This club leader, Hyun, is a sneaky snake pulling the strings from the shadows. His good looks are just a mask. He made a deal with the demon Lilith to get enchantment powers and became a villain. I joined this study club specifically to keep an eye on him. Even Yanawa seems like she isn't falling for his charms. Hyun decides to show everyone how they analyze threats. He pulls up a hologram of a beast called the Mountain Tyrant. This monster appeared when the dungeons first opened and has never been beaten. Hyun explains that info on high-level monsters is worth billions of dollars because it's the only way to plan a successful raid. He playfully calls on Yanawa to guess the monster's weak spot. She correctly points out that no one has found it yet. Hyun just smiles and invites everyone to an after-party to keep guessing. As things wrap up, I walk over to Yanawa and ask if she's going. She totally ignores me. I have to literally shout at her to get a response. She confirms she'll be there, hoping to pick up some useful data. I decide to push her buttons and ask if she's looking for info to help her lead her future guild team. That gets her attention. The essence of the Straight Guild is a massive power. Her family started it 50 years ago, making it one of the top groups in Korea. But lately, the Vice Guild Master has been making moves to steal her spot as the next leader. I ask her if she's at this party just to find a way to secure her throne. Annoyed, she asks what I'm really after. I decide to give her the deal of a lifetime. I tell her I can give her the Mountain Tyrant's actual weakness. It catches her completely off guard. I know she needs a big win to prove she's ready to lead. I explain there's a tiny blue mark on the monster's heel. Hit that, and the beast freezes up. Of course, I'm not doing this for free. I tell her I want a specific weapon from her guild's vault, the Desert Eagle. I'm going full American with my gear choice now. Yanawa asks to see my research or some proof that I'm telling the truth. I just smile and tell her I don't have any. It sounds insane to claim you know a world-class secret with zero evidence. Her face goes blank. She thinks I'm just a liar wasting her time. She stomps off in a rage, but Hajin calls out a final warning. She'll regret it if she treats his words like a lie. There is a real chance she won't listen, but if she does, he's just secured a powerful ally. The funny part is that the moment she gets outside, Yanawa actually calls her guild's management. She sends a message to the team assigned to the Mountain Tyrant, telling them, while stuttering in embarrassment, to aim for a blue mark on its heel. It turns out she's willing to take the gamble on Hajin's advice after all. Hajin feels good about the investment. He knows Yanawa is destined for greatness. But now, Hajin faces his scariest villain yet, a massive bill. The fun and games are over because he just got hit with a 300 million debt. The look of pure horror on his face says it all. He can't even wrap his head around that number. He has already maxed out his student loans, making him wonder what kind of mess Chundong was in to need that much cash. Checking his bank balance, he sees he only has 3 million left. That's barely a drop in the bucket. At this rate, he'll never get home. He'll be working odd jobs forever just to pay this off. Hajin realizes he needs a job fast, a feeling I'm sure some of you can relate to. In this world, there are two ways to make big money. The first is stocks. Since guilds are the ones clearing dungeons and towers, their shares are traded on the market like big companies. Since he's the author, he knows exactly which guilds are going to moon. The problem? He doesn't have enough starting cash to make a real profit yet. That leaves the second option, field hunting. Unlike dungeons, fields are open danger zones crawling with monsters. You hunt them down and sell the parts for a fortune. The obstacle here is Hajin himself. His stats are still pretty weak, barely better than a regular guy's. He isn't sure he can survive out there with his current skills. He doesn't want to waste his precious story points on a basic training gun. So he's stuck looking for another way to power up. Suddenly, someone knocks on his door with a delivery from Yanawa. He's confused since she isn't exactly the gift-giving type, but he opens it anyway. Inside is a small box that leaves him totally stunned. The scene jumps to the Wonju Field Zone in Gangwon Province. Hajin has made it to his first hunt by traveling through a portal. Dressed in clean gear, he gets a warm goodbye from the receptionist, noting that Cube cadets get respect everywhere they go. He steps out of the station and enters the wild province, ready to start his grind.